Welcome to another attempt at filling out the application. In other words, expanding our ability to apply the words of Scripture to our lives. I'm your host Larry, and today we will be looking for connection points in Acts chapter 17. As we get to these later chapters of the book of Acts, we see Paul and Silas begin to go from place to place kind of quickly, sometimes having their gospel message welcomed, and sometimes having to depart on the run. Thessalonica was a place where they weren't able to stay for very long. Paul had 3 good Sabbath days there in the beginning of the chapter, speaking in the synagogue and reasoning with the people there from the scriptures to help them understand the story of Jesus. There were many who responded positively, but a group of jealous religious leaders attacked Jason, the man who had welcomed these missionaries into his house, which led to the recent converts paying Jason's bail before rushing Paul and Silas off to Berea as soon as the sun went down. What follows is my favorite part of this chapter, as I have always enjoyed the description of the Berean Jews, who Luke writes in verse 11, were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. I just like the fact that the desire to put what you hear to the test to see if it stands up to the authority of Scripture is seen as evidence of good character. If the application of Scripture to our lives is the goal of our study, then this one is pretty easy to apply. We all hear a lot of people teach, preach, and share from experience the Christian faith in all kinds of worship, classroom, relational, or media situations. In none of those times should we be expected to disengage our ability to discern what is right and true. When we hear a message, we should be listening, but also thinking, considering, and testing whether what is being said lines up with our own experience, what we have heard in the past, and what we have learned and may still need to learn from Scripture. And yes, this means that active listening may lead to more work after we listen, as we go and put forth the effort to fill in some gaps in our own knowledge. If these words of Luke are true, then one thing that we should definitely reject would be a speaker who might suggest that whatever they say is to be believed without question. Several times I have heard speakers say something and followed up with the phrase, "If you disagree with me, that's okay. You have the right to be wrong." I always draw back from someone who makes that proclamation. I would rather say, "If you disagree with me, that's great. It shows that you are listening, thinking, and I hope considering reflectively why you disagree and whether you are sure your disagreement is appropriate." The real danger is when we blindly accept whatever we hear and stop doing the work of considering ideas and letting ourselves be motivated toward deepening our own understanding. If we can maintain a healthy curiosity and a love for lifelong learning, we will at times hear or read things we don't understand or of which we are uncertain. But we will be like the people in Athens who said to Paul in verse 20, "You are bringing some strange ideas to our ears, and we would like to know what they mean." That's kind of the thing, isn't it? We may not understand every idea at first encounter, but that doesn't discourage us. It just motivates us to go further, just like those noble people in Berea and those questioning people in Athens. After all, Jesus did say that we were to love God with our whole mind, didn't he? That's enough for this week. Let's go be active disciples who don't just read the Word, but live the Word.